In this lesson, I'm gonna add two methods that will allow us to drop blocks from one location to another. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So we have here a whole grid with some chains. So I'm gonna start by clearing the chains. So you can see now that they have values of 0. So dropping a block, what does that mean? If I drop this block into this position, what it means is that the target position is going to take the value of 3 and the original position is going to take a value of 0 because we're simulating that I dropped this. I can drop a block from the one place of the grid to another, but I can also drop a block from the reserve into my grid. So if I drop this block, number 3, into here, this will take the value of 0 and this will take the value of 3. So let's add those two methods. First one to drop a block in the main grid from a position to another. The source is set to 0. Match 3.board.prototype.drop block is something dropped from the source row, which row is the starting one. For example, this would be the source row and this would be the target row. So source row, target row, and column. If I drop something, what I want to do is that the original the target position takes the value of the source position. Both in the same column. And what happens to the source, as we mentioned, that becomes now 0. And for the reserve, it's actually very similar. Reserve and drop reserve block. So in here, the target one receives a block from the source, but from the reserve grid. And also it is our reserve grid element that gets set to 0. Let's check this on the console. So I have to firstly clear all the chains and then take a look at what this is looking like. And let's say that we want to drop this number 3 into this position. So this would be row 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way to row 7. And the column is 6. So this would be drop block all the way from row 4 to row 7 in column 6. And if we take a look now at the grid, you'll see that that number 3 that we had in there fell all the way there. So that's now 0 and that's now 3. The same thing would apply for the reserve grid. So in this case, we don't have a 0, but we can just drop this one here and see what happens. So I'm going to drop a reserve block, which is located in actually row number 4, because this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to row 0 of the main grid, and the column is also 0. So console log, and you see that 4 replaced this number, it fell. You would only call this to replace a 0, but you can also call it to replace another number, just for our testing purpose. So to summarize, we've created two methods that allow us to drop elements and replace their targets and keep and become a 0 and so forth. So what we need to do next is update the grid by going through all of the rows from down up, finding a 0. Every time you find a 0, then you climb up the column until you find a number that can replace it and make that fall. So then you have a 0 here, and then you'll find that place again, that new 0 will be replaced by the other one. So you're basically making them all fall to cover the missing one all the way up, and at one point then also from upwards one will fall and occupy their place. So let's take a look at that in our next lesson.